Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer and I am wicker basket stitching on Flosstube. I am coming to you today from central Minnesota. My name is Jennifer and I have been watching Flosstube since probably January. And I have been inspired by all of you to start a video or start a Flosstube channel. And some of my favorite Flosstubers are Fat Quarter Shop, Priscilla and Chelsea with Stitching with the Housewives, Brenda and the Cereal Starter, Melly Ellie Stitches, Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, Bumble Stitches, Celeste Creates, Nicole's Needleworks, and of course Lori Holt. I love everything quilting, cross stitching, crocheting, knitting, any kind of stitching. That's what I like to do. So I have been encouraged by some of you to go ahead and start a Flosstube channel. And I have been cross stitching since January. It has been a learning curve for me. I've always quilted and knitted and crocheted, and now I have started cross stitching and I've really fallen in love with it. So I want to show a few of the projects that I've been working on, a few FFOs, bags that I've made, and some quilting. So if you'll stay along with me, I will go ahead and get to it. My first fully finished item was this little Happy 4th of July pillow. This was a free pattern on the internet. I don't recall where I got it from, but it was just a quick, easy little stitch. I filled it with polyfill and sewed up the back of the pillow here. And this is just a cute little 4th of July decoration that I can put up in my tiered tray. My next, this is a finish, but it's not fully finished. This is United We Stand. I got this pattern on the Fat Quarter Shop. I downloaded it and printed it and stitched it. It is on Ada fabric, and this is my first project that I tried stitching in hand. It was very eye-opening. It's faster to stitch in hand, and I really liked the way that this turned out. I believe I'm going to put some magnets on the back of this and put it onto a canister in my kitchen area for the 4th of July. So that is my next one. My last fully finished item is inspired by Priscilla and Chelsea. This is Old Glory. This is a Little House Needleworks pattern. I did this one on 28 count fabric from Hobby Lobby. This is magnetized to the backing here, and this is just, I didn't use sticky board, I just used just some mat board, cardboard type stuff. And this I actually had in my kitchen with a chicken on it, and I just slid this right inside, and I figured if you're setting it up against the wall or anything, it's not going to fall out. So that is my last fully finished item. I did not add a bow or anything yet. I'm still trying to figure out what else I want to add to this, but for right now this is good enough. I will go on to my whips then. I've started a lot of things since January. My very first project that I did was a Lori Holt project. And I completed this Eat, Sleep, Stitch, Repeat. And I put, it does say repeat, but I should have backstitched it or used a darker color, I think. But I made this into a project bag. And this is my project bag. It's kind of a big one. I decided I kind of like them smaller. That is one of my other fully finished cross stitches. And inside this cross stitch bag, I am doing from Not Forgotten Farm, Sewing Strawberry Pink Heap. And this was a pattern I downloaded off of the Not Forgotten Farm website. And this is my start. It's just a very little start. I started this on some 32 count linen, and I've decided that linen is a little hard for me yet. So I wanted to try it. This is a small project. I will continue to stitch on it. But I've decided that 28 count even weave is my fabric of choice right now. And so I will keep working on this, but I had just that small start, and I am using threads that were in my stash. And I made these little floss drops out of cardstock, and I keep those all in this Eat, Sleep, Stitch, Repeat bag. My next project lives in this bag. Oops. In this bag, and this is a panel that I got from my local quilt shop, Gruber's Quilt Shop in St. Cloud, Minnesota. It had 4 or 5 motifs on it, and I just cut the motif out and then added some additional fabric to make this bag. And in this bag, this was my very first cross stitch that I started. And this was in January when I started this. And this is Lori Holt's Quilter's Cottage. I printed the PDF off of the Fat Quarter Shop website. And this is my progress. This is done on Aida. This is done on Aida. And like I said, since then I have decided that I do like the 28 even weave is my preferred fabric right now. I'm using all the called for colors. I also made these floss drops. I made these on my Cricut. And on my Cricut I can print on there. It says DMC, and then I just write the number. And then these are like my master copies of my floss. So when I'm done with my other projects, I'll take them off the fancy floss drops and put them on a more plain floss drop. And then I keep all of these on bigger rings, and this is like my stash. So these are all the called for colors. I also made this little charm. It's just a little key. And I keep all of that stuff in this project bag. Another project that I'm working on is a fall stitch, and this is Cherry Hill Stitchery in Autumn Wish. I believe I downloaded this on the Fat Quarter Shop as well. Just a cute little Thanksgiving fall themed. I am using DMC. I am not using the called for colors. I just picked ones that I had out of my stash. And this is my start. This was the first time I tried the even weave, and I do really like it. It's been a little bit of a learning curve on how to stitch on the different fabrics, but I really like the 28 at this time. And this is just from Hobby Lobby. 28 even weave from Hobby Lobby. And then this is another bag that I made with a vinyl front on it, just some farm fabric. And I will keep working on that one as well. My next project lives in this really cute bag. It's a vinyl front bag with another one of those panels that I cut up from the quilt shop. Sorry, I'm going to get my pattern out. This one is Sew by Row by Lori Holt. And this has been a really fun stitch. I've learned some things on this one, and this was the first one that I did not really start in the middle. I started on the bottom and did the bottom row, then I'm working my way up. I am using all of the called for flosses. I put them on these little DMC thread cards that I made on my Cricut. And this is where I am. I'd like to do, I believe I got off a stitch or two on the bottom row. I think it was right here. I put too many spaces between these two. I put one too many spaces on each side. So what I have been doing since then is I start on one side and I'll do a couple, and then I start on the other and do a couple. And that way when I get to the middle, I can kind of center the middle motif so that it fits. So it doesn't look like it's off. And so I am working on the green sewing machine right now. And that has been really fun. I've really enjoyed this cross stitch. I use these little bitty boards. I made these off of Lori Holt's tutorial. I watched her do her tutorial, and I use these little boards in my bags. I really like them. And then this is the other motif that was on that panel that I made the bags out of. And I have a couple more panels. I plan on making more bags out of those. The next project is in this bag, and this is also a project bag that I made. I was on a quilting retreat with some of my friends back in March, and we stayed from Wednesday till Sunday. I organized the retreat for my friends. There's about 18 of us that go, and we work on all kinds of different projects. And I had brought cross stitch with and quilting, and so I made this project bag while I was on my retreat. This one is one I started recently. It is a Jordan Privé, and I'm not sure how to pronounce the name on it, but I thought these sheep were just really cute, and this was a little bit bigger than the other smaller things that I had started, and so I wanted to do something that was considered a sampler and had the alphabet in it, so I chose this. I am using all of the called for DMC flosses. I think they're really pretty. I made these floss drops just out of, I printed a tag that I purchased on Etsy. I don't remember who it was by right now, but it had all these different really cool prints, kind of vintage looking, and I printed them on cardstock, and then I just cut them out and put the hole in here. And I think they're really fun. And I just wrote in pencil DMC on the back, and then I can erase it and reuse these. And this one also has a little charm, a little key charm on it that I picked up at Joann's and just put on a little jump ring. But here is my progress on this one. This is Hobby Lobby 28 Even Weave. It was white. I did coffee tea dye it, and I really like the modeling that has happened. It got kind of dark in spots, and that's okay. I really like the kind of antique look, or it makes it look old, and I really like that. So I've been having a lot of fun stitching this one. And And also I use a little bit bigger bitty board that I made in this bag. The next project is living in this bag. I also made this at the quilting retreat that I was at. Just a really fun, just use some scrap fabrics or a little charm pack that I had. And here's the back. I purchased this little sewing machine charm at Hobby Lobby. And I just added a jump ring and put it on the zipper. And the project that is living in here is Farmhouse Christmas. And I have all of the patterns. There's 9 of them. I purchased all of these off of 1-2-3 Stitch, and I am putting them all together on one piece of fabric. This is by Little House Needleworks. So those are the patterns, and I used the free chart that she gave for the border. I used that, and sorry, I have some threads hanging down, but this is where I'm at. I started with the border up in this corner and worked my way down and across, so that I had enough of the border to figure out where the next border should go. And then I started on the house. And this will take me a long time, but it has been fun trying out some new techniques. I haven't really done anything with a border like this yet. And so that was really fun trying to do that. I am using the DMC conversion of floss, except for the red. I did buy the Classic Colorworks Cherry Cobbler for the red. Otherwise, the rest of these are the DMC conversion. The next project lives in this pumpkin bag. And I also made this at the quilting retreat that I was at in March. This is a block of the quilt that I had made. I had leftover fabric, so I did make another block and set it inside this quilting bag. And there's the back. I made this little zipper pull just off of a little charm that I bought at Joann Fabrics, and some fabric that I made into just a little tie. And I am working on Flea Market Flowers. This is a stitch along with Fat Quarter Shop, and I have made a start on the first week. I started before they started, and I did this part and then I haven't moved past that part. But this has been a really fun stitch. I also have the called for flosses and another little charm that I got from Joann Fabrics. And this is where I'm at. This has been pretty fun. I'm excited to get the rest of it done and have it hung up. I think this will be a really cute thing to hang up in my sewing room. It kind of goes, I have all of these kind of colors in this room. And this is where I do all my crafting, sewing, quilting, painting, all the things that I do. And the last whip that I have is living in this vinyl front bag. This is some upholstery fabric that I had left over from making some cushions, and I decided to put them into a bag. This is Stitchy Stars by Lori Holt. Excuse me. This has been a fun one. I just started it 2 days ago. And I'm using the called for DMC flosses. They are on these little floss tags again. and I just wrote in pencil the number so that I know which number goes to which symbol, and then I'll just erase it. It's just in pencil. And this is my progress. I actually started with the very last quilt block, and I'm working my way that way. So it's a little bit easier with the fabric rolled up on this side. And then I also have made a couple of these little accessory bags. I carry my scissors, some clips, a seam ripper, some beeswax, extra needles and everything. It's just a vinyl bag with a little fabric and zipper on the top. Has a little charm on there. It's a little owl. And I keep all my little sewing notions in here, so when I switch projects I just take this and put it in the new bag of whatever project that I'm working on. So those are all of my whips. I do have some quilting things to show you. I started the Lori Holt Sew by Row sew along. I've received all of the installments or monthly packages so far, but I have not started on the quilt. But I wanted to show you that this is from Fat Quarter Shop. Sorry for the glare. This is a quilt pattern, Sew by Row by Lori Holt. And it came as a kit with all of the buttons and all of the fabric that I'll need for, the fabric is for month 1, the scissors block. And then you have all the buttons for all of the embellishments on the front of the quilt. So I received that in the mail. And then I have received also the second block, and that's the tomato row, and all of the fabrics that go with that. And the third installment was the sewing machines and all of the fabric that goes with that. And then I also received the backing fabric, which is this really cute, like old-time embroidery, printed embroidery pattern. This is also a Lori Holt fabric, and there's enough backing to do the whole back of that quilt. So when I get it all finished, I'll have everything that I need to finish it. A couple of other things that I have purchased recently was this Bonnie and Camille Quilt Bee book. This is a really fun, cute book. It does have the cross stitch pattern for Shine On in here. I believe they don't sell it as a separate pattern that you have to buy the book, and I picked this book up at Joann Fabrics. But this book also has all of the blocks to make this quilt, which is the exact same as the cross stitch pattern. So I'm not sure if I'm making the quilt or the cross stitch, or maybe both. You don't know. But I thought some of these blocks would be really cute to make into project bags. Like this bee, the bee block would be a cute project bag to make. Whenever I start a new project, I make a new project bag for it to go into. So I purchased this. I also purchased, I believe these are some of the fabrics that are in that collection as well. I just got some fat quarters just to make some project bags, but they look very similar to the color palette that is in this book. So you never know what I might make. I might make one of these blocks and put them into a project bag. And lastly, I have a quilt that I just finished. Well, I finished the top at the quilting retreat when I was there with my friends in March. The pattern is Hocus Pocus by the Pattern Basket. This is the same fabric that I used in the the bag that I made. This bag is the same pattern. I just had leftover fabric, so I made an additional block. And I have the quilt top right here. It's really a very, very cute quilt. And I purchased this pattern on Etsy. The kit, rather. The whole kit was on Etsy. And it came with everything in the pattern except for the backing. And, sorry, I just purchased the backing today. And so I will be backing that quilt in this fabric and then putting a striped, the black stripe binding on it. So, hopefully that will be done in my next Flosstube video. I'm planning on working on that this week. So I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to share some of my projects with you. I hope that you'll come back and that you'll subscribe. I love watching all of the other Flosstubers. The ones I mentioned earlier were just a few that I watch. I've been pretty much addicted to watching Flosstube for the last 6 months. I am inspired by all of you. I am Wicker Basket Stitching on Instagram, and I hope you come back to my Flosstube channel again. Thank you and have a great week.